Hello and welcome to Horror Boys. I'm Austin.
I'm Chris.
Isaiah.
That's right. We're all here. We're back. We're doing 2 weeks of this. Obviously, we haven't learned our lesson.
That's right, baby. Not yet, at
Yeah.
least.
We're back. We're gonna watch a movie that is not as good as what we watched last time, or we
What?
watched already. Not gonna watch. That implies like it's about to. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean, audience.
We're gonna review a movie.
Yeah, we're gonna review a movie that was good, but not nearly as good as the first one. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe Isaiah might disagree, and we'll have spicy discussion this time on this. I don't know. Who knows? I guess let's just jump right into it. We're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 2, the
Yeah.
long-awaited sequel to our first episode from last week. Is this week's episode?
True.
So, what's my first? My first note here is Jesse plays in a puddle.
Yeah. There's an opening scene with a kid playing in a puddle,
Yeah.
and it's not relevant to any other part of the movie.
Oh no, it's not.
Kid jumps in the puddle, never mentioned again.
Whoa! Immediately after he jumps in the puddle, his mother calls for him to come inside because it's late.
Oh, you're
And
right.
then those characters are never mentioned whatsoever ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we see a pair of shoes walking right behind it that we assume are Jason's.
That is true.
Mhm.
And right then, I mean, I guess that tells us, all right,
There's
he's in the suburbs now.
Yeah.
a new killer in the
But-
mix.
For
Out
a
of the-
scene.
Out of the streets.
Yeah, he's in the suburbs for a scene or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cut
What
to
suburbs?
Oh,
The one where Alice now lives.
That's
2
right.
months after the events of the first movie, I guess.
that we find that out later. That's when we are in
We
the
do.
timeline. About 2 months after the first movie, Alice, she's living on her own now, and she definitely straight up has PTSD.
I mean, understandably so.
yeah, sure, but they feel the need to show us about 10 minutes of her having PTSD, which is just recapping the last movie through dreams.
Yeah, something you'll
Extensively.
notice in this movie, if you watched it, is that it definitely tries to pad out as much time as possible with nothing content.
While also being simultaneously
What? You think so?
shorter.
Oh, for sure.
I
They
feel
have
like-
a 10-minute, unnecessary recap
Yeah.
through Alice's dreams. And, sure, you could have had, part of that,
Yeah.
but they really draw it out.
It was the full tail end of that movie.
Pretty
The whole
much.
cadence
It
of
really
the
was.
first movie.
The
Yeah.
full end reveal scene.
Yeah.
All the way up to Mrs. Voorhees' death.
Mhm.
And it's just I mean, you could have given us 2 tidbits of that and it still would have been completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple tidbits. Yeah.
But then it wouldn't have been an hour and 27 minutes.
No, then it would have only been an hour and 23 minutes, and that's just too short.
Wait, how long was the first one?
About an hour 35, I think? Somewhere in that
Okay.
range. Still about 90 minutes. It's the classic 90-minute horror movie length for both of these, really. But this definitely is a shorter movie that also had a recap. It's like, okay, you couldn't even hit your shorter movie time.
No.
Nah. But yeah, she wakes up from this, and she goes downstairs or to her room. I don't know. Doesn't matter where she goes, but she leaves her room to go to the living room, and she gets a phone call from her mom, and we get kind of a little exposition dump from her, being like, "Hey, I'm fine on my own now. Don't worry about me, Mom. Stop worrying. I get it. You and Dad worry. There's nothing to worry about." Well,
And then she
Mom was-
goes into her kitchen, gets
Yeah.
jump scared by a cat,
yeah,
and then
Um,
opens her fridge to find a head.
yes.
There's a severed head hanging out in the fridge.
Yeah.
Just a severed head. And then, right before that, she is holding this, I don't even know what it's supposed to be, a fire pick of some sort.
Maybe an ice
I
pick
believe
for,
it's
like
an
a
ice
freezer.
pick.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Break up the ice.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's carrying her ice pick around the kitchen because she's scared. And then she gets that same ice pick through her own skull.
Yeah. After
and-
opening the fridge. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Dude, yeah, this
And
this was an interesting part of the movie for me. Like, not just the ice pick, but I mean, we'll get to him. but they like drop a lot of weapons
Mm.
to set up later because you always expect like that's the classic like if there's a gun hanging on the wall, somebody's gonna fire it later.
Yeah.
You know, that old deal. And so I think like, all right, she's got a chainsaw, she's got an ice pick. Like, what's gonna
Yeah.
happen with those? And that one was kind of unsuspecting.
Yeah.
I guess because she was the one like ready to. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. That one didn't jump out at me as much as like the chainsaw later
Yeah.
on down the road. But,
Also
yeah.
felt like a very unceremonious way to kill the final girl of the last movie.
Yeah.
It's just like an ice pick to the side of the head.
Just bring her back
It
for a
was so
scene.
fast. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and title card.
Bring her back for a solid
Yeah.
10 minutes that are 8 of which are just recapping of the last movie she was already in.
Yeah, sure was.
But you know, that is what it is. Maybe she cost too much at this point after the success of the first one. I mean, there's a
Maybe.
chance. Or they just
Maybe
want to
we
tie
just
up
need
the loose
A
end of
new
her being alive.
cast to kill.
Yeah. Yeah. But real quick before we leave this scene though, I do have this written down because they felt the need to show it. Jason, he moves the kettle off of the fire, which I thought was very nice of him.
Consider it.
Yeah, very considerate.
Very killer.
Doesn't want anything bad to happen to the house.
But you've got to wonder like how often has he seen a kettle?
Never. He should have never
When was the
known what a
last
kettle
time
was.
he could have seen a kettle?
I mean, that's
Probably
just not
before
fair.
he drowned.
Yeah, that's too fair. He did drown at like 7 or 8, so I mean, he's seen a kettle in his life. Presumably. I mean, like, there's a chance his mother
Yeah.
had a kettle. Mrs.
Yeah.
Voorhees seems like a
Hopefully.
woman who drank tea.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what
That's
that
very
means about her,
villainy.
but
Yeah.
I'll say it. I think Mrs. Voorhees drinks tea. I think it's
I so
confirmed.
strongly disagree.
It's confirmed by this scene. How else would he know to move the kettle?
It's yeah.
It's what mother would have
Yeah,
wanted.
Mother would have yelled at me if I left the kettle on.
Don't want to make mommy mad. Put kettle off of fire. I don't know why that's Jason's voice,
It
but it
is.
is.
I was
mean-
fixing to ask like, okay, yeah,
He doesn't say anything. Ever.
never.
No.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
moving along. Where were we? Next.
Can we please?
Yeah, here we are. We're gonna move on from this kettle. I thought to bring it up, but I'm glad I did because it led to some your Jason
Fruitful
voice,
discussion.
which I'm glad that your Jason voice is in this movie.
You're welcome.
We cut to the town where I guess where Camp Crystal Lake is, so some random town in New Jersey. Yeah, and we have some 2 kids driving up. We find out like an hour from now that their names are Jeff and Sandra. It's not really that
Yeah.
long, but it takes forever for them to reveal characters' names to you. You're like, who is this
Yeah.
person for so long? And you're like, I don't know who this person is. And then
Yep.
some of the characters like, oh, they're about to die, and someone yells out, oh no, Vicky, and I'm like, her name's Vicky.
Yes.
Vicky, it took forever to find out her name.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
I was like, oh, she's gonna die and we don't even know who she is
Yeah.
yet. Crazy.
Dude, but I did not remember Jeff's name
Mm.
at all. I just kept his name for me was like either Mick Jagger or one of the Newsies. That's the impression that he left on me when
Mick
he was
Jagger.
introduced.
That's fair.
But yeah,
He's got that equine face.
Yeah, they.
Did you say equine face?
Yeah,
He's got a horse face.
He got a horse face?
Yeah,
No, I know.
I got what he meant.
it's stretched out, dude. Yeah.
Alright.
This has been Isaiah rating the men's faces in this. Jeff loses.
Well, maybe he likes horses.
Oh, that's true. Isaiah, what's your opinion on horses, real quick, before we move on back to the actual movie?
You know, that's too long a conversation to begin now.
Fair
Oh.
enough.
Yeah.
Tune in to our Patreon for an exclusive video on that down the line.
Yeah, that's right.
Way down the
It'll be
line.
behind a paywall. Yeah. Okay. So these characters, they show up, and they're on the phone with Ted, who is our new Ned.
Yeah.
Because
Very creative name differences, really.
for some reason the comedy characters' name have to end in Ed, apparently.
Ed.
Yeah. Tune in next movie for Jed, followed by
Yeah.
Ed in the 4th movie.
And Jed is, a controversial character because he is a funny Amish person.
Yes.
Never been seen before.
They're not normally funny.
Yeah, very dry.
But yeah, so they're calling Ted, and they get a warning from Crazy Ralph to not
Yeah,
go
Crazy
to
Ralph's back.
yeah for a little bit.
My favorite Tuesday.
Ooh,
Yeah.
spoilers. Yeah, Crazy Ralph's back for a little while. He, says, "Hey, don't go. I'm Crazy
You're
Ralph."
all doomed.
Yeah.
You're doomed.
And while they're on this phone call and Crazy Ralph's talking to them, their truck is getting towed away. And they run after it. There's a kind of humorous scene of him trying to yell at the driver while he's keeping up with the driver. I thought that was I got a chuckle out of that scene. And we find out that it was actually Ted who set this whole thing up. Crazy old Ted, who I will say, just to get it out of the way, I love Ted so much more than Ned. Ted is a fun comedy character, not one that grates on my every last nerve like Ned did.
Hold on. Ned was a curly-headed jokester from the last movie,
Yes,
right?
yes, he was. Yes.
Okay.
Ned was the Joker from the last movie, and now we have Ted, who's new Ned, but better Ned.
Better Ned. Ted.
Better Ned is Ted.
Better Ned than... yeah.
Better
Ned
Ned
than Ned.
Okay.
Which we'll
I don't know
get
if
to.
I feel like he was a better...
Yeah, but
This guy grated on my every nerve. Well, I can't say that. That's extreme.
What is with them? We have such different opinions on these comedy side relief characters.
It's not a substantial opinion at all because it boils entirely down to
He wasn't
his manner of
racist enough for
speaking.
you?
There's that, and in addition to that, like the way he speaks, it seems like he's either trying to suppress an accent or he periodically remembers that he's supposed to have an accent.
That's fair.
That's fair.
It's like Storm from Fantastic Four. Like every once in a while, like, oh right,
Louisiana.
she's from another country.
I thought she was from Louisiana. You're right, though. I don't remember that movie. That movie's...
Gambit's from Louisiana.
You're
How dare
right.
you?
Oh, sorry. I like Gambit more. She has that really good line about the toads, though. So that's cool.
I'll take
But
your
this
word
isn't
for it.
this isn't a review of X-Men. Sorry, guys.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. Then we think they're up hanging out with Ted now, Sandra and Jeff. We did find out Sandra's name actually pretty early on in the movie because Jeff, while on the phone with Ted, says, "Oh yeah, me and Sandra just got into town." I'm like, "Oh cool, a name."
Yeah.
They're going into town and they stop and they find a sign for Camp Crystal Lake.
Ooh, on the side of the road. Ooh, spooky.
And Jason's watching the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be?
Is this right before he like runs across the road?
No, that's a
This
little
is
bit later.
way before,
Yeah, that's later.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. No. And then we show up at camp. We start meeting some of the other campers.
Counselors.
Yes, yeah, that is what they are, not campers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we meet a very attractive girl named Terry who is wearing very short shorts and a crop top, and she gets shot in the butt by a guy named Scott.
Old Scott.
Dude, this is the
that's how you
strangest
hit on women.
exchange in the entire movie.
Yeah.
You shoot a woman in the butt, and then she'll be sure to fall in love with you.
She doesn't, by the way. No. I will give this movie credit. Scott does not get to be with Terry. He just pesters her, borderline like I don't know what you would describe some of the stuff he does.
Yeah.
There's some
They
definitely
took all of the like gross qualities of Ned and then put them in
and they
Scott.
gave him to a different character. That's why I don't hate Ted. He doesn't try to force himself on any girls this movie, which is nice.
Well, okay, it's Scott's his name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Unibrow
Here's the
Scott.
weird thing about this whole thing. For one, they never. I was waiting for them to make clear the whole time, like, do Scott and Vicky,
Terry,
do Scott and Terry had they known each other before? Because I personally can't tell.
Yeah.
And I don't know which would be weirder, if he was like a total stranger or if they've had like a lasting relationship of some kind.
That's fair.
I think it'd be creepier if she was a total stranger to him.
Which I feel like she is. That's my take on him. I feel like he is just a creep, but it's not said at all. This is all my personal intuition from the character. I'm like, he doesn't know her. He's just a creep trying to get with her.
Well, either way, he plinks her in the butt with a rock, and then she turns around, and he just like leans out of the bushes, and he doesn't like slap his knee, rear back, and laugh.
No.
He just like shoots her the old finger gun look, and he's got like this smooth class photo expression on. It doesn't. it doesn't make any. That's the weirdest exchange.
Yeah, no, it's
in the whole
definitely
movie
weird because
between two people.
he's not playing this off as a joke. He's playing this off of like, you want to sleep with me now, right? I did just shoot you in the butt.
Are you hot yet? I shot you in the butt with a rock, as is the classic mating ritual.
I've shot you in the butt. You know I'm ready. Are you ready? It's like, okay, what? All right.
No, it was a different time. It was the 80s.
It was a different time. Back in the 80s, that was flirting.
It was a classic maneuver.
Now we're
It's
introduced.
flirting now. It works every time.
You know, I have never shot a girl with a rock from a slingshot in the butt. It might
So
work.
we don't know from experience.
It could work.
It's possible.
Could not. Now we meet some more of the character, the fun cast of characters we're gonna meet, and some of the ones we get to know their names, because some of them we never know their names and they just leave. We'll get to
That's
that in
right.
a little while.
Dude, yes.
Mark is a character
Because
we meet.
like,
You go.
Yeah, go
well,
for
the
it.
head guy calls out the names of the ones that he already knows.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm sure I'll get to know the rest of you later." And I think,
And
all
he
right,
never
I guess
does.
we will.
Yeah.
And we don't. The ones that he names are the characters of the movie, not like the only characters.
And Vicky. We find out Vicky's name way later, but she does stay around.
And as someone watching this set of movies for the first time, like when they were doing the little orientation scene, I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many more characters. There's going to be so many more like cool kills they do." No,
And diversity,
no,
like
half of them just leave.
yeah, look at this cool diversity. There's, an African American man, an Asian woman, a guy in a wheelchair. The African American and Asian, they both leave. We never know their names. I have to refer to them as that because we know nothing else about them. They're
good
just
on them
gone.
for not killing them off.
That's true. It was
Right
nice
off.
that the black guy didn't die first, like in every other horror movie. Give him credit for that.
Fucking stereotypes all the time, baby. Friday the 13th.
Instead, a white
Yep.
woman died first in like that opening scene. So
Yeah.
it's like kind of a win-win for equality. But yeah, Mark's in a wheelchair. That's basically his character. He's in a wheelchair.
He is. Boy, is he ever in a
Yep.
wheelchair.
Then we meet.
Well, he's a great arm wrestler.
Oh yeah, you're
is
right. We
a
do
very
learn
good arm
one
wrestler.
other part of his character later, and also
And
that Vicky really likes him for some
yeah,
she likes him.
really
She
likes
really likes Mark. We'll get to
The
that
arm
in a little
wrestling
bit, though.
skill.
That's true. It's the arm wrestling. But before any of that happens, because even though I have 3 pages of notes this time trying to keep us on track, we're not.
Yeah. ADHD, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it is Dickens. So we have Ginny shows up during this counselor orientation, and her car is sick, and Paul, he reprimands her and tells her, hey, don't do that, and then they like kiss, and we're like, oh, I guess they know each other and are in a relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
That was a weird way to phrase it. Her car is sick.
that's what she says. I'm quoting her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She does
agree.
say that her
It
car
was
is sick.
stupid, but I've
Strange way to put
referred to that as that multiple times throughout my notes because of it, because of how weird it was when she said it.
Got in a sick car. Oh no. Sure hope the sick car starts.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
hope it
When y'all
does.
first
But
met her, did you think that she was going to last that long?
Oh, I knew she was.
Yeah.
You could tell she was the final girl the second she
yeah,
showed
she
up.
drove up and I was like, oh look, it's the final girl.
Yeah. She gets such final girl energy.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
She was blonde. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't have a reason. But honestly, so far, 2 in a row. I also feel like, I mean, and here's the thing. I kind of hope they subverted my expectations, but she kind of also had a very similar, like, vibe and position in the hierarchy as Alice did in the last movie. Like, she knew the guy running it and was kind of like his second hand. Like, because it kind of, Alice kind of helped out Steve in the last movie. And, you know, the only difference between these two characters, these ones are actually in a relationship, and Steve just wanted to be with Alice. But, like, they gave off similar vibes. They were both blonde. They both, like, had a closer relationship with the owner. I don't know.
The sensible ones.
Yeah.
There's that.
They do have that going for them as well. Yeah. And I don't really know other than that. It just kind of, I could tell. Chris said it, and I was like, oh yeah, no, he's totally right. She's obviously a final girl. She has such final girl energy.
I don't know if it hit me.
Mm-hmm.
What you're gonna say, Chris?
Oh, I just said I don't know what it is that it put me onto it, but I saw her immediately. I was like, oh, look, it's the final girl. She's arrived.
To be fair, I think you also did that with Alice in the last movie too. Like you could just tell.
Yeah, there was the intro scene where she's talking to Steve. I was like, is that the final girl?
Yeah, Chris has a sense about it.
It's the many horror movies that I've watched. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Isaiah?
Oh well, just that my spidey senses aren't that sharp because it wasn't like immediate. But when they were on the campfire, I think that was the moment where she summarized the whole Jason story. At some point in the movie, she does that, and
yeah, that's actually
okay.
That's at the bar, I believe.
Okay, that's way later. All right.
Yeah,
I guess I'm.
We do go to the first time. No, well, we just watched this literally an hour ago, so it's fresh in my mind, the order of things. But yeah, we do go to the campfire next. That is our next scene here. We have the campfire where they're all singing campfire songs. They're not, but I just thought that was
Paul's telling a scary story about Jason.
He's telling the story of Jason and trying to spook them, and out of nowhere, Ted shows up in a weird, scary mask to try to scare them.
Yeah, and he does.
Maybe Paul was in on it. I don't know. The way he said one of the things, he seemed like he didn't know it was coming.
No, it was definitely like Paul was in on it. For sure.
But the way he said it, like he got mad at Ted slightly, still in front of everyone. Like, Ted should have done that. Like, what? You would definitely seem like you were setting Ted up for that, but then he's like, dang, Ted.
Ted's the fall guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's distancing himself.
Yeah. Well, that Ted kid, I don't know what's up with him.
Patsy.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of that dead Ned kid, and I don't like him.
Oh, wait. This is also where we learned that we're not 2 months away anymore. We're 5 years away.
That is true.
Yeah.
We're now 5 years
5 years
later.
from the events that happened 2 months after the event of the first movie. So we are 5 years and 2 months out from the first movie.
Yes. Now we kind of have a couple scenes that I didn't take a lot of notes on. It's just the counselors kind of hang out and we learn a little bit more about each character. Scott tries to hit on Terry. I think this might have been the first time they started hinting at Vicky being into Mark. Like, we just kind of are establishing some of these characters a little more. Nothing of interest happens. We do. Whoa!
Terry picks up Muffin.
We do meet Muffin for the first time.
He takes him to the window, and then Muffin gets spooked because she sees Jason through the window.
That is true.
Also, hugely important character development. Scott pops his collar up, immediately targeting him for death. If there's anything that puts a target on your back,
you're right. I did miss that. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I should have wrote that down in my notes. I think around this time we also find out that this is the same lake, but a different camp from the last movie.
No, they do mention that.
Yeah.
It's just that we came to that realization around that scene.
Okay,
They mention it, like, when they pick up the Camp Crystal Lake sign. And what is it, Sandra?
Right.
Sandra is like,
picks up.
oh, we gotta go to Camp Blood. And he's like, no, it's on the same lake. We're gonna be on the same lake as Camp Blood is.
And Ted seems really freaked out about it at that point, which also is kind of weird character arc for him to be so freaked out about the concept there, but then completely being willing to be part of the prank, teasing the, idea of it later.
It's like his one serious moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we have Sandra is getting ready for bed. Is what I have. Is it Sandra? That's what I wrote, but I thought it's wrong.
No, it wasn't Sandra. It was Ginny's getting ready for bed.
Yes, it was. But I wrote Sandra. You are right. Ginny is getting ready for bed, and Paul scares her, and then they make out.
With, how did I ever forget his name?
We believe it's Jason watching
man
them,
on the bicycle.
But it's not. You're right. It is. They pan up to reveal it's not Jason. It's Crazy Ralph.
Who then proceeds to immediately get murdered by Jason with some barbed wire to the neck.
Which wouldn't have happened if he hadn't lingered around for so long.
Yeah.
Like,
man has
there's
a wife.
like a 2 or 3 second shot of Ralph just kind of squinting at him through the window. Then another one, he's just watching them for a little, Then he turns around.
They still make it out.
Make out. Nice. Oh,
I'm dead. Sorry, wife. Should have stayed home. Not want to watch the counselors make out.
Weird, like, give Crazy Ralph a flaw, a death flaw. You know what I mean? Like, because he's like they're ignorant or they're overconfident, or whatever, and that's what kills them. Ralph is just like trying to peep on this couple.
Yeah.
And that's what leads to his death. You know, it's like somehow the purity of Ralph seems to just kind of diminish.
Oh, was Ralph ever pure? I think Ralph was just crazy. I don't know if Ralph was ever depicted as pure, though.
Well, he's like, he knows what's going on, you know.
That's
he doesn't
fair.
really do anything wrong. He's an innocent character, and now he's just like, you know, he's a little action in the window.
Making out.
Yeah, and that's what gets him killed.
If I stay around, they might escalate. He goes
up to the door to try to warn him. He just hangs out at the tree and watches.
You know, fair.
Hey, you're doomed. Don't forget you're doomed. Nope, just... And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
What happens after Crazy Ralph dies?
The counselors go for a run.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And Jeff is lingering far behind or something.
All of the actors, men or female, they're all just in really nice tight shorts. You know, whatever floats your boat, you're going to see a nice butt in this scene.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, am I wrong?
You are absolutely correct.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. You're welcome. I am a broadcast journalist, gosh darn it.
That journalistic integrity about butts.
At this point, Muffin runs up on the killer.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say runs up. I'd say Muffin casually walks up
That's true.
to Jason and kind of just sits at his feet and is like, what's up?
And
and then the scene cuts.
Then the scene cuts away.
Oh, no.
So now we have there are a lot of the characters are going off to go swimming, but Sandra, she wants Jeff to take her to Camp Blood.
Because Sandra has a death wish.
Yeah. So they start going off. We cut back to the swimming campers, and there's a poop joke from Ted that
there is a poop joke.
Confirms that he is funnier than Ned. His joke was not racist. It was about poop, and I respect that.
It was about poop, and I respect that.
It was a funny poop.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't write down what the funny poop joke was.
Funnier than any of the other jokes Ned told in the first movie. One of which was just him screaming while dressed as a Native American man.
I believe specifically a chief, because there was a line from the cop about him being a chief.
Yeah.
But that's the last movie, and we should, I guess, stop ripping on Ned. He's not in this movie.
Fair.
But yeah, there's a poop joke. Then we cut back to Sandra and Jeff, and they find a dog's mangled body. That is... It definitely seems like Muffin. They definitely believe it's Muffin.
Yeah.
Very sad.
They definitely try to make us believe that it's Muffin.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want us to think that.
And boy, did I. And I was like,
did I as well. Because when they cut to, Muffin being there, I'm like, oh, Muffin's going to die. Dang it. Not Muffin. Why couldn't Muffin be the final
the same
girl?
deal. Against all odds, Muffin cracks the code.
I mean, against all odds, Muffin is, but that's a little spoiler to the end.
Yeah.
I mean...
we'll wait till the end of the podcast to find out exactly what we're talking about.
But yeah, there's a cop that finds Sandra and Jeff there, and he takes them back to Paul and kind of reprimands and threatens Paul like this crap needs to not happen. You got to keep your counselors away from there. It's not safe. It's condemned. Gosh darn it. Do your job, Paul. And, Paul kind of doesn't care and doesn't do anything. And the cop's like, you're not going to do anything to them? And Paul's like, we'll take away the dessert.
Yeah, no.
There's seconds.
No second desserts.
Extra dessert. Yeah.
No seconds on dessert tonight for them.
Darn.
That is a pretty crushing blow, I've got to say.
Yeah. I would kill myself at that point.
Yeah. Anyone would. Yeah, me too.
What's the point?
Worse than death.
Now we cut to Jason randomly running across the street, and the cop sees him and starts chasing after him for, like we kind of talked about at the beginning, a time where they're trying to pad out time, because gosh darn it, does that cop chase him for like 3 minutes. And it's like, I guess this is to build tension, but man, does it not build tension for me. And it just goes, all right, cool, he's still chasing him. All right, cool, he's fixing his hair.
Yeah.
He's fixing his hair again. Because
yeah. So there's another scene like that happens like in the intro to the movie where Alice is like walking through her house and it's just like one long continuous shot, just her walking through her house.
Yeah.
But for no reason.
And
there's like no tension there.
Getting spooked by tiny little things slightly, like, oh.
Not really. She goes into her room and changes
you're
and
right.
gets in the shower, and then it goes back into the kitchen, and it's all like a 2.5 minute exchange that could have just been like a 15-second like transition.
But Chris, then this movie would be like an hour and 10 minutes if we cut out all these scenes. So they have to be there, gosh darn it.
Yeah, it sure would be a lot shorter.
So the cop, he keeps chasing after him, and he eventually finds the makeshift hut that Jason has built for himself, and he's digging, once again, digs around that house for at least a solid minute, looking at
mind you, without his gun drawn, like he pulls up on this abandoned, like mangled shack, doesn't pull out his gun immediately as he enters in, and it's just like searching throughout the house.
Doesn't even have his hand on his hip. Like, let's say, he's got really good trigger control. He doesn't even want to really worry. He just has not even prepared. He's just walking around. Oh, let me open this random cabinet.
Looking place.
There's nothing here. And then he walks up, and he sees something. At this point, we don't know what he sees. We know later. I know what he sees now after seeing the movie, but he finds something that shocks him. And then he gets a hammer to the back of the head.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good death.
Yeah, that was a good death. That was one of the better deaths in this movie, which is kind of a damning take on this movie. Is this hammer was one of the better deaths. There wasn't anything great in this movie, death-wise.
A little lackluster.
Yeah.
Compared to the last movie.
A little lackluster.
If you came here for the slasher death fest, you're not gonna get like anything great.
Yeah,
you're gonna get a lot of people.
A lot of off-screen or on-screen, but like where
weapon to the back of the head with a little bit of blood, a little bit, like not enough for what really would just happen to them. Because I guess maybe there was pullback. I don't know why there's. It seems like there's less gore in this movie.
That blow to the head at the end, like on Jason's head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like later when she whacks him with a machete, I didn't quite understand what happened until the very, very end. But
gotcha.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're back at the campsite, and a bunch of people decide to go to town. They decide, last chance to go to town. About 10 or so of the 15 counselors we have go to town, and we only get to find out the fate of 3 of them. 7 of them just off doing their thing, having fun, not caring. They're happy. They don't have to deal with this.
They don't get murdered, so that's pretty
never
big.
To be seen again, never to be heard from again. Because when we cut to a little bit later, we're gonna cut back to the town at times, and we're only gonna care about 3 characters. But yeah, about 5 or so stay behind. It's Terry, Scott, Vicky, Mark, Sandra, and Jeff. So 6, not 5. You got 3 great couples there, right, guys? You know, Terry and Scott, the best couple. We're all rooting for them. Ooh, he did shoot her in the butt.
Strange. It's a strange match. Yeah.
Strange. In relationship that they have.
I was left wondering around that point, like, I was thinking to myself, all right, so now we've got to find a way to, like, draw all the others back from the town.
Back into the camp?
Nah, why would we?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Then we'd have to
just stay there. I mean, that was unexpected.
We saw
a diverse cast of characters, and there goes half of them.
We saw that their budget for deaths is down, obviously. They couldn't kill that many more people. Then everyone's death would have been, they got hit in the back of the head off screen. You know? They had to get rid of some of them, or we'd get no bloody deaths. Terry, she goes looking for Muffin. At this point, we actually find out that the counselors are specifically at this, like, what did it say? It was a bar, but it specifically said, like, casino.
Casino?
It said casino.
It did say casino on one little Yeah, but they're at like some kind of honky tonk thing
Yeah.
in the middle of New Jersey.
Yeah,
The people with
you know,
cowboy hats and
Which
everything,
I
you know.
do
classic.
believe
Yeah, the
there
man child with a cowboy hat.
do believe
Bobby
uh,
Hill, yeah.
I do believe gambling is not legal in New Jersey, and they're not on an Indian reservation, so don't know how they went how there's a casino here. And also, there's no casino inside. Like we mentioned, there's nothing that resembles a casino inside. But
It's underground. It's like a speakeasy from the 20s,
got
you know.
you. A speakeasy with a giant sign.
Yeah, you know.
Defeating
Very
the whole
subtle.
point of the speakeasy.
Yeah. It's not well thought out. Doesn't mean it's
Good
non-existent.
design.
So, we cut back to Terry, and I guess she's done caring about her dog and decides, I'll go skinny dipping.
Yeah.
I was worried about my dog. I can't find her. I guess I'll just get naked and swim alone.
Yeah.
Which also,
Sure
who
does.
goes skinny dipping alone? Like, me and Chris kind
Would
of.
you rather do it with other people?
Yeah, that's the whole point. Like, is with someone you care with like another person you care about, and you're trying to see naked, but you're trying to make an excuse on why you're doing it. You do it to go skinny dipping. I've never done this, but that's what I've always interpreted as the reason to go skinny dipping is to see like some other person naked with you. Like,
Also, why would you ever go skinny
Yeah.
dipping in New Jersey?
New Jersey and that disgusting. Also, don't go skinny dipping at all because that lake water is so gross, and you don't want to put that
Coast
on your.
Lake, super cold water.
Yeah.
Just why?
Let's be honest, a bathing suit really isn't going to protect you that much against that lake water, but at least you're not throwing it just straight up on inside of you like you are when you don't wear a bathing suit. I'm just saying, it's
No.
a mistakes
The
were
bathing
made.
suit's a placebo.
I mean, you're probably right. You're right. Just don't go swimming in a lake. It's gross.
Yeah,
That's really my
honestly.
point. Flesh-eating bacteria and stuff, it's not worth it. Forget Jason. Flesh-eating bacteria, that's the real killer.
The silent killer.
Silent killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Not Jason. No, he's got the to announce
Which,
him.
I think we should acknowledge
Dude,
here, what
they
you
do-
told me.
They do a much better job with it in this movie. It's not nearly as like loud and jarring whenever it's used. It's a little bit more subdued, which I
Okay.
appreciate.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. And the
Go on.
why is you and your interpretation, because I didn't notice it until you mentioned it last week. And then when I watched this one, I'm like, now that's all I can think about it.
all you
Because what
could
Chris
hear.
said about this movie is that, like, I couldn't take my mind off the.
You're just hyper fixated on it.
Yes, I was. The whole time when I was watching, I'm like, God, I can't get my mind off these sound effects now. They're terrible.
All right,
Well,
so
don't watch the first one again because
it's worse.
wowie, is it much worse?
Yeah. After we leave Terry going skinny dipping, we cut back to the main cabin area thing. I don't know what it is. I guess just like the
lodge?
Yeah, the lodge. That's the good word for it. And we cut back to Mark beating Jeff at arm wrestling because of course he does. He's Mark.
Yeah,
He practices arm wrestling all the time.
What else is he gonna do?
Well,
He
he's
doesn't
gonna
have
practice
legs.
leg wrestling.
Why did we both have mean jokes towards Mark and his
I don't
legs
know.
immediately? They were different, but we both were like, let's rip on Mark.
All right.
Mark.
So now that we've established that me and Austin are very ableist,
Apparently, I'm sorry. Now we cut to Scott stealing Terry's clothes because Scott's a jerk.
oh, he's a pervert more than anything.
He's a pervert and a jerk, and I guess thinks this is going to work somehow.
You know, if he thought shooting her in the butt would work, why wouldn't he think this would?
You know, that's fair. Yeah, so then Scott gets his foot caught in a rope trap
Mm-hmm.
that I don't know who we're supposed to assume set that. I don't know if that's just a random rope trap Paul set, or if Jason is setting
Jason who
traps
actually said it.
for these people. Like, he's hoping to catch them in his traps. All right, that's... All
Yeah.
right.
I think Scott assumes that Paul said
That's
it.
fair. That's probably where my brain got it from.
Something that I want to test out is because, like, he just kind of makes a motion towards his feet. He's like, oh, you know, you got to go get a knife, get me down. I want to know, like, Mythbuster style, if the average man can, like, crunch up and it, like, somehow get out of the rope trap.
I feel like that's a deep crunch to get to your feet from a hanging position like that.
But like, if you're able to grab onto the rope, in theory, you don't even have to pull up your whole body weight because like your legs are held by the rope.
True.
I
If
mean,
you think about it.
I feel like
That's
you're.
just like the thing where you, as a kid, if you've ever done this, like on the monkey bars, you're holding on to the bars, and then you lift your legs up, but it's just reverse. And like you
Mm.
lift yourself up through the top of the monkey bars and stand on top. You ever do that?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Mm.
know. I think you're both overestimating how easy it would be to get out of a rope trap.
We'll
And you know
test
what?
it.
That's fair. I've never been in the rope
I
trap
haven't
before.
either, but I just feel like it's not that easy to get out of it.
But now I have a deep desire to be caught in a rope trap.
We
In
can set,
a non-life-threatening
we can set something
situation.
up.
Yeah.
At the
Yeah.
first ever Horror Boys live, we will put Chris in a rope trap.
Can we please? That would be so cool.
I won't remember this if we ever do get around to being big enough to do that. So no, we probably won't ever do that.
I'll remember.
So Terry goes off to try to find a knife, and while she's looking for a knife, Scott gets his throat cut with the back of a machete,
Yeah, he does.
which is the first, but not the last time Jason uses the wrong side of the machete to kill someone. Which makes me think they didn't have a prop machete and they were using a real one and didn't want to put someone in danger. And, like, fine, I guess, but, like, get a prop. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Because it happened... There's another time it happens. I wrote it down. When we get to it, I'll bring it up. But this is the first of 2 times they use...
The next time is much more upsetting just
Yeah.
based on how it happens.
It is. We will get to that, honestly, pretty soon. So we'll just keep moving along.
Let's do it. Let's keep
Terry,
chugging.
she comes back with the knife to try to get Scott out. She finds his body, and just
Turns around and gets jump scared by presumably Jason, and then the scene.
we never see
transfers-
her again. I don't believe
Nope.
so. She dies. She died by Jason there. It's pretty obvious, but we don't even get to see a dead body of hers later. I don't believe.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just
I hadn't thought about that.
without a trace gone.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is she the one that we see
No,
in
that's
his
Vicky.
hut later? Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right.
Nope, that's Vicky. You would think. And here's the thing, there are like 4 or 5 bodies, so maybe like her foot's there and we're supposed to know, but I mean yeah.
The only thing we'd recognize of Terry is her butt cheeks and/or
I mean, we saw everything on Terry while she's
Yeah.
dipping, so I mean,
be sure. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
you know, I guess hey, if that's what you're into, this movie does escalate from the last movie. Last movie you only get half a
Does.
boob, this movie you get everything. So, I mean, that's not why I watch horror movies, but if that's why you watch horror movies, I guess this is better.
Maybe.
But yeah,
if
we
you're interested in any other parts,
any other parts,
yeah, sorry about it.
stick with the first one. Well, unless you want a character that's not blatantly racist and tries to sexually assault someone, I guess you know Ted is better than Ned. That's the last one.
Ned
I
is
promise.
the
I'll
greatest
stop.
character.
I'll stop ripping
Wow.
on Ned. I guess maybe.
You will.
No, I probably
Spoiler.
won't. Then we cut back to the bar, and Ted somehow thinks the bartender is hitting on him, and Paul's encouraging him on it, even though there's definitely no chemistry in that scene, and I don't. Yeah, I guess the joke is they're all both drunk and just think she's hitting on him when she's obviously like not.
Yeah, just a bartender trying to do her job.
Yeah, she's just doing her job.
And then Ginny tries to like hypothesize on, oh well, what if Jason is
Yes.
alive?
It's the scene.
And
yeah.
Paul and Ted go, "You're an idiot. You're a crazy woman. Shut up." They don't say that, but they imply that.
Absurd.
Um,
Yeah, but she's the only one to crack the code, you know. That's what made me think, all right, she's got to make it. Which she kind of does.
Yeah. I mean, she basically pulls an Alice from the last movie, which means in the third movie she will almost be certainly killed in the intro scene. So
or not even
get
brought
too
in.
attached.
There's 2 options. There's also the option where they just say, "Who cares? It's a new cast." You know?
Yeah,
That's also
that's
like
also
quite
valid.
possible option. Now we cut back to the lodge and we see Sandra and Jeff there. You know, they're getting really in the
Well,
mood.
hold on. Ginny and Paul decide to head back to camp, and Ted decides to stay at the bar for the night.
I think that's later.
after they have that conversation.
No,
I think
They're like,
I
it's
think
getting
this is
late.
right.
maybe you're right.
And then we cut
And then
back
later,
to camp.
it's a later scene where Ted asks the oldest people in the room if there's like any after hours plays. They're like, "Oh yeah," which I
Yeah,
thought.
because we find out that Ted isn't going to get killed this movie. He does not go back to
No.
camp at all.
Ted is
No.
the
It was
final.
a big twist for me.
Ted is the final girl. Spoiler: he does not die. But yeah, so now we are back at the lodge, and Sandra and Jeff, they really wanna start doing some stuff, as well as Vicky, who we find out like 2 scenes from now what her name is finally. She's really getting into Mark. She's throwing some heavy-handed hints at what she wants him to do, and he is oblivious to most of them, or he could be playing coy, trying to not come off too strong back, but. Man, does she be like? She eventually just gets to the point where she's like, "So is it just your legs that don't work?" And it's like, okay, all right, okay, and, Sandra and Jeff, they go upstairs, and they play harmonica, and nothing else happens. They're just playing harmonica for sure. Yeah, we're a PG channel here.
And Vicky goes to find a cabin for
to get ready to hang out with Mark.
Out and play more hockey on Ted's video game consoles.
Yeah.
A hilarious part of that whole dialogue is when like he says multiple times like, "Oh, I can't smoke dope, I can't drink that because I'm in training." She asks him like, "What are you in training for?" And he just like looks up perplexed.
No one's
and we get no answer.
No,
because we're all wondering the same thing. Like,
yeah.
What sport are you playing, man? Like, he's got like a
water polo
football jersey on. I mean,
he's real big into water polo.
He's actually trained to be
Yeah.
an altar boy at the church.
What?
So I can't smoke dope.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah.
he can have relations with Vicky.
Yeah, well, he has relations with the
Oh, what? Oh, we're
It
going.
writes itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an altar boy.
Moving right along. She's off changing her underwear and putting on perfume.
Perfume.
Yeah, she put on perfume
everything.
everywhere. She put it everywhere. And then we cut back to Mark, and he's like, Vicky, where are you?" And we're like, her name is Vicky.
Vicky is her name. Now she can die. Okay. Cool.
For real, though. Mark, goes outside. He's freaked out. We get a shot from behind him and in front of him, showing that there's no one there.
Yep.
Yet,
and it keeps zooming in, and it keeps showing no one behind him.
Like the shot, like it's from him, but yet we go to the other side where there's no one there. But then he gets the back of a machete to the front of his face out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, how do y'all notice the edges of the machete?
This
did not occur to me.
I just saw it
because of the way the machete is curved.
Yeah, it's curved the other way, and like it's definitely the curve of the machete.
It always shows the curve of the machete facing out.
Yeah.
What if it's like one of those concave ones, like the Egyptian deals?
Like a scimitar? Well, no, that'd be like a reverse scimitar.
You know what I'm talking about? The
I think I know what he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, a sickle?
Yes.
Sure. It's a machete. It definitely
is
a machete.
You got a very, very barely curved sickle.
It's definitely a machete, and it's definitely going in the wrong way. And then Mark falls down like a comically large amount of stairs on his wheelchair.
Yeah, he's cruising.
You might as well throw the Benny Hill music on top of it. Like, it's... What is this?
Yeah. And it's so steep.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it sure is all those things.
Like, you could almost give this movie...
Sure is all those
you could give this movie credit, maybe, for being like, oh, look at this diverse cast. They put a person with a wheelchair in, but I think they just put him in so they could do that death scene of him falling down the stairs realistically. Like, nothing else about his character really made sense for that to be there other than that. And
gotta play the piano as he falls down the stairs.
Yeah. Like, it's either that or a guy that just bounces. You know?
Yeah.
And after that, we cut up to Sandra and Jeff. They're post harmonica playing, and And they get murdered by the spear that Ted used earlier for his prank. It went straight through both of them. Sandra saw it coming, but Jeff did not know. He just died. And what might be the best death of the movie? I know I said it might have been the hammer earlier, but this is probably the best. But it's not nearly as good as like the top 3 of the last movie.
Yeah.
That's actually, I'd say that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, like, it's good. Like, it's fine. Like, here's the thing. If this was in the other movie, I mean, I would be like, oh, this is lame because they had the much cooler bed death with
no arrow through the
with
neck.
Jack.
No man posted to the front of a door with arrows.
Yeah, I mean, just when it comes to death, which is what I want from a slasher movie, because gosh, it's not the story. These stories are boring. I watched this for the deaths and the bad dialogue, and the bad dialogue was there, but like the deaths just they weren't there. They weren't there this time. It disappointed me.
I was wondering, they were so conspicuous about Ted putting the mask on top of that spear and leaning it carefully against the wall right there. And we passed by it so many times. That one, I was really wondering about that one. And then they never showed the bodies on screen. They just showed like the point going through.
We do.
Yeah.
That's
it was a creative death.
That's not entirely true. We do see, I think, both of their bodies later. Like in the next death scene, we see their bodies.
Yeah.
Disassembled.
Yeah.
Where Vicky is
all the
trying
bodies
to
are, you know what I mean.
So
find Mark, goes in, and then sees Jeff and Sandra laying in bed.
I want to clear up something. I have my notes in front of me that you saw me taking as it happened. Here is where I have back to the bar, Ginny and Paul leave. So it happens here, not when you said it happened, because I was definitely taking meticulous notes as we went through. And I just want to say I was right and you guys were wrong, and I will accept my apologies in flowers this year. That's what we're going for. I expect a bouquet at my house within the next week.
They're not
prepare to be disappointed.
Darn it. I just wanted to get some flowers. What if we say it's for my birthday? That's coming up. Can you just give me flowers for my birthday?
I will make a concerted effort not to do that.
Thank you. Please don't. But yeah. Then we cut to Vicky kind of looking around trying to find Mark because, she's in the mood to play harmonica too, if you know what I'm saying. And she goes looking for him, and she eventually I don't know where he is, and she goes let me find Sandra and Jeff. Maybe they know. And she goes into their room, and she sees some blood on the sheets and kind of walks over there slowly and And then, she moves the sheet, and Jason pops out, because apparently Jason was waiting in the wings to jump scare her from the bed, which, I mean, it was cool, but why? Why is that the way he chose to? He's like,
He was just prepared.
I'm going to pretend to be Jeff so I can scare her. What? Sorry.
He could have been chilling.
Maybe. Maybe he was just chilling next to the dead body. Maybe that's his thing. But yeah.
The death also wouldn't have happened if she had a tad deeper sense of privacy. She knocks, she calls their names multiple times, she goes in, she sees bodies under the sheets. She thinks, all right, I'm going to shake them awake.
Oh, they're not responding at all, and she's worried. She is worried about them at that point, and maybe, I don't know. You're right, there's an element of sure, but also, she was right. She should have been worried about them.
Did she have cause at that,
she couldn't find anyone. She couldn't find Mark.
Okay.
And let's be real. Right. Mark couldn't have got up and walked away. So, I mean, she might be, there's reason to be, worried. Wait, where the crap did Mark go?
Let me look upstairs.
Yeah, let me... That's a good point. I take it back. She had no cause. Why did she go looking upstairs to find Mark? All right.
Maybe he crawled upstairs after Jeff and Sandra.
What, so is he going to go pull a crazy Ralph and watch? I mean, what?
What Crazy Ralph?
Yeah, so there's no reason Mark should be upstairs.
No, you're right. And to be fair, she wasn't asking for Mark when she was up there. I think she was looking for Sandra and Jeff at that point because she was worried about Mark. She was looking for someone to help her find Mark. But now we have Ginny and Paul returning to the camp, and they discover the blood in the top room from all the death. The bodies have been moved.
At which point I made a joke about the menstrual cycles. The camp, because
you did. I don't know why you felt.
Paul did earlier in the movie, He's like, make sure you clean up after your menstrual cycles.
I missed
And
that
then
line.
The bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Because
right.
the bears will get you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Jason and Paul. They start tussling. They start fighting all over the place, running into each other.
Sure do. Just start wrestling on the ground.
Not
Like
arm
two old
wrestling,
buddies.
and not the wrestling that Jackie wanted to do with, or Vicky wanted to do with Mark. Because there was also a joke about that at one point. Because she was not keeping any of her hints secret, even though it did seem to take him a long time. I really just want to harp on that because man, was Mark stupid. Like, she was throwing all the hints, and it took like the 5th hint for him to be like, oh, you mean play harmonica? Got it. Let's go. But yeah, so Ginny, rather than helping in any way, repeatedly just says, Paul, Paul.
Dude. Stands there and like, Paul,
oh Paul, are you okay?
And she does this twice. She does it again later. Like,
I
think Ginny is so much.
Tumble.
Dude, yeah.
She is so bad. Everything about this movie is worse. The final girl, Ginny, is worse.
I think Ginny's a much better main character than in the last movie. I like Ginny a lot better than the last movie. Except for in this scene, like, she's smart, she knows what to do. Except for in this, like, every other time she's ready to act. She's, like, ready to up with a chainsaw and everything.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then when he's unarmed and occupied with somebody else, she's just, like, frozen.
Paul!
He's gonna watch Paul, like, get beaten within an inch of his life twice.
Paul. Yeah, for all we assume at this point, he kills Paul, because Jason just kind of gets up and Paul doesn't. We're like, oh, Jason won. All right, cool. Then Ginny, she just starts running from Jason, and she goes to the kitchen. No, first she goes to the bathroom. He tries to break in. She freaks out. She runs out of the bathroom, runs to the kitchen, grabs a kitchen knife. He starts breaking down the door. She puts down the knife and runs out the window.
Yeah, because
no longer has that kitchen knife, because why could you keep a weapon in one of these movies? She didn't even use it. Like, if you... Oh, no, did she? No. She might have stabbed him, didn't she?
She brandished it.
No, you're right, she didn't.
No.
I'm jumping a couple scenes ahead.
He puts it through the door, and she threw the knife on the floor and jumped out the window.
Yeah.
That bathroom scene is where I jumped. I totally jumped in that bathroom scene.
There was just like a... That's one of the multiple times Jason decides, hey, I can do jump scares now.
Yeah. Which are not common in this movie.
No,
these 2 movies so far.
Yeah. At this point, we find out that also in that scene, we find out that Jason has a pitchfork because it goes crashing through the kitchen wall. Or door, not the wall.
Like the Kool-Aid Man.
It went through the wall.
Yeah. Then Ginny runs away through that window, leaving the knife, and she gets into her sick car. I wrote that down. Make sure we remember. This is the sick car. Yeah, I recognized it. Like, oh, that's the sick car. Why would you get in there? Stupid Ginny.
She tries to start it.
And it
doesn't. And then Jason does a jump scare on Ginny.
Jason just pops up at the window like, Jason!
And then disappears.
It goes away.
Dude, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
And then apparently, I guess...
messing with her, I guess.
Yeah, gets on top of the car, because at that point, he takes the pitchfork through the roof.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until he meets his weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, a car door.
Car door.
Yeah. Why not?
It just sends him, like, tumbling.
Flying.
Yeah.
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 The overalls made him, like, a little bit funnier, I think.
That's fair.
I don't know why. I can't explain why.
And then
all he needs is a banjo.
Then she starts to run away, and she eventually he kind of catches up, so she just kicks him in the balls. And
dude, again.
Well, yeah, she hides next under a tree, like behind some branches, and then he comes around the corner, and she just kicks him right in the balls.
Right in the balls.
Beautiful.
And then she runs away some more. I write down they play hide and seek because it just kind of that's just what it is. They just keep hiding and running. It's once again a prolonged scene to prolong the movie. This scene felt like it kind of went on an extra minute or two than it needed to of him just chasing her with nothing happening. Like when things happen, it's cool, but this like hide and seek scene, it's like, was that needed?
Yeah, I think she should have kicked him on the balls like 2 or 3 times more.
Or you know what she should have done? Still had that knife, kicked him in the balls, and like stabbed him in the neck. But she dropped the knife for no reason.
You can say the same thing for Jason.
That's true.
who twice drops his weapon to face Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Pretty
Paul
cool.
can't die.
There's a lot of dropping, a lot of Butterfingers.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
Butterfingers in this movie.
It's true.
I feel like we're just supposed to not notice that. We're supposed to just be okay with, like, oh, okay, that happened. Got it. Okay. Moving on.
Anytime somebody drops a weapon and doesn't pick it back up, I hyperfixate on it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, why? Why would you do that?
Then where were we? Then she
Jason
hides
scene.
in a cabin. Or actually, then we go to Jason going into a cabin.
Defunct little shack.
Yeah, just probably the same one they've
Jason
used
lived
in multiple scenes as different people's cabins. They go to that one again because they probably only had one.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, I believe this is supposed to be hers. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. She's hiding there, hiding under the bed. It's working, but then a rat shows up and she gets just a little too spooked and she pees
her
herself.
pants.
Okay, so y'all are saying that is her.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
gotta
so.
be. It's gotta be her,
The
right?
rat's
Like,
just peeing under her leg.
Also, the rat was up by her
Well,
face
I mean,
still,
okay.
and that's a lot of pee.
that's a good, yeah. But it's a valid question. Like, who is more likely to whiz under a table, a human or a rat? But you're right. It is right near her face.
Yeah, and the rat's up at the other end of the bed, and presumably, like, it would go down her leg, and that's where it would land. Fine,
Yeah.
but
Somehow, this is what makes her pee. It's not, her being chased by a killer for like the past 10 minutes. She hasn't
Yeah.
somehow already peed her pants.
yeah.
And he's
It
right
is
next
just-
to her, too.
Mhm. Yeah,
He's
no.
about as close as the rat.
But the rat will pushes her over the edge.
Yeah.
It's a straw, the last straw.
It's the last straw. It's the
Straw that broke Ginny's bladder.
the piss that broke the camel's back.
There it is.
Oh.
So after that happens, she starts to get out of there, and she's this close to dying, but instead, the chair that
Jason's
Jason's standing on, the front legs just fall out, saving her. It's a
Warded by a faulty chair.
faulty chair ex machina. And it saves her life here because she should have been killed, but the chair broke because reasons. Where
This was like pretty Three Stoogey.
yeah, there's a couple
The
more.
whole fight scene where there are
This scene, I'd also argue the throwing him down the stairs earlier is like the piano in the Three Stooges one. Like, there's a couple Three Stooges bits
Pretty
thrown
slapstick,
into this
yeah.
movie,
Lots
but
of
not played for
slapstickiness.
slapstick. And that's the thing is they don't feel like they're trying to get you to laugh. I mean, maybe they are. If they are, they're not doing a good enough job at the slapstick. But it just feels out of place with the tone of the rest of the movie.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Then she gets that chainsaw that you mentioned how, you knew it would come into play again later. And it does. She gets the chainsaw, and she, chainsaws his arm a little bit. Drops the chainsaw because, of course, she used it once, can't use it again.
Yeah, like the blade gets tangled up
Yeah.
on his
Yeah,
arm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We don't know.
You can't
Maybe
use
it doesn't at all. She just drops it. Yeah.
You can't use a weapon a second time. It had to break. And then she grabs another chair and breaks it over his back because chairs are apparently his weakness.
Yeah, understandably so. Have you seen a chair before?
They do scare me.
Crazy.
I've broken a chair or two in my life, and it's a harrowing experience.
He didn't even own a complete chair. He had a chair in his hut, and it didn't have a seat in it.
It's true. He doesn't know how
He
chairs
doesn't-
work. He knows how tea kettles
What
work.
does he know?
But not chairs.
No. Yeah.
All right. So Jenny, she starts running again, and she finds Jason's hut and his secret shrine to his mother. That obviously the cop, like we hinted earlier, the cop found it too and died for it.
Yeah.
But she, on her feet, I guess just thinks of this, which I guess you could credit her as being so smart, but I credit it as how the crap did she come up with this? This is a jump in logic for her to go, I should put that dead person's clothes on. It might help. I mean, I know she's thought about it and she knows his connection to his mom, obviously by the shrine, but still, I feel like there's a leap in logic to go from, I should wear his dead mom's clothes. He might think I'm his dead mom if I'm wearing her clothes. This'll work.
Well, what's really funny to me is that she puts on Mrs. Voorhees' characteristically chunky sweater,
Uh-huh.
and then she looks at her head, like Mrs. Voorhees' head, and she styles her hair, and I'm thinking like, okay, she's gonna pick it up and just like,
Slap it on.
hold it, yeah, do something like,
Yeah.
but she's just trying to steal her look, like from
Which she
the
doesn't
dead
have
head.
at all.
Yeah,
So
because
she
she
just
doesn't
kinda, like,
have short curly hair at
Let me
all.
just move my hair behind my ears so he thinks I'm his mom. What?
And that's what convinces him. Yeah,
I guess I don't know if the hair was
very
actually the thing that
theatrical.
pushed it over the edge. That's what made Jason believe it. If he just saw the sweater, like he walks in, he pans up, he sees the sweater, like she's wearing my mom's sweater. Looks up, oh, it's my mom! Her hair! It's my mom's hair!
the hairdo she's worn since her hair posthumously grew to that length.
Yeah, and somehow this works, and she just starts talking Jason down with being like, "His mommy doesn't like that. Don't do that, mommy says no." It starts to not work, and then she keeps going, and Jason's like, "Oh, okay, no, you are my mom."
Yeah,
Starts lowering
She's got
his pickaxe, because he doesn't have his machete anymore. He now has a pickaxe. I guess
I
it's
was
fair.
playing Minecraft.
Yeah, his machete is in the head of Mark, and his pitchfork he left at the car. So, what else did he have? Now he has a pickaxe, and he lowers it, and she tells him to kneel down. He listens. She gets ready to swing that machete at him, just as he realizes, my mom would never kill me. So he comes out of it, and
well, hold on. He realizes that because he like kind of looks over.
oh
He's
no,
like,
you're
wait a
right. I
minute.
did.
There's
no.
my mom.
That's a machete. And that's a head of my mom's.
Oh, my
shoulder.
mom's. You're right. You're right. He definitely goes, oh, my mom's head. You're not my mom. I thought your hair looked the same, but I was fooled.
Nothing but a convincing disguise.
Well, he does only have one functioning eye, so you know.
That is true. Well, he might have another
Yeah.
functioning eye. He just doesn't show it. It's just
Oh.
under his.
They do later in the movie.
Do they? I do remember them showing. I just remember it looking not working. I don't remember.
That's because the other half of his face is like completely swollen, like tumory mess.
Gotcha. Because being in the lake makes your head look like that.
Well, he already looked like in the flashback
Yeah,
as
that's
a
true.
kid.
He
There
did
was
have
something.
Yeah, something off about him.
Something was, he had some sort of like disability of some
Disfigurement.
sort. Because, when in doubt, in a horror movie, the person with disabilities has to be a monster.
Or a martyr.
Well, no, see, the thing is, he wasn't born with disabilities. He got in an accident, so Mark is cool. He's a newly disabled person. People born with disabilities in these movies, they're monsters.
Yeah.
That's
the moral of the story, really.
Here's the thing, it's not. But man, could you jump to that conclusion very easily due to the way they choose to portray any character with any sort of mental disorder or physical disability in these kind of movies.
Yeah.
Where were we? So she goes to machete him, and he blocks it with his pickaxe. And I guess maybe that spooked him when the machete hit the pickaxe, and that's why he drops the pickaxe before he fights Mark? Sure. We'll go with that.
No, he drops the pickaxe because Paul gets him from the back.
I said Mark.
and
I meant
disarms
Paul.
him.
Got you.
Yeah, Paul disarms Jason, and then they wrestle again.
Yep.
And
more
then
tussling.
Jenny, for the second time,
Paul.
stands there and goes, Paul!
Paul.
I was like, please remember there's machete on the floor. And this time, she does.
She does.
Dude.
And
yes.
she goes right through his shoulder, like mid-chest, how far she dug that
It's
machete.
really deep.
Well, like
through the collarbone.
yeah, unrealistically deep for a woman of her
Around
size
here.
going through a man's collarbone.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe the adrenaline was pumping because she was so scared. She already, peed out all the fear. Now she's ready to go.
Fear has left the body.
So yeah,
That's what fighter pilots do.
I believe I've heard
Every
that before.
time before I jump into a burning house, I piss my pants.
Then I can't be afraid.
And I'm also slightly less dry than I was before, so I'm more fire retardant.
Then after she does that, she also unmasks him for reasons.
Yeah, and then they go.
Sorry. So he can be unmasked later and when he comes back. And that's really the only reason she took his mask off. I mean, I get curiosity, sure. But, I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, I'm getting the heck out of here. What if he's not dead? He should be, but I don't. He also should have drowned to death, and he didn't. So I'm leaving this freak of nature. And I'm leaving. But no, they don't leave. They unmask him, and then they say, let's just go back to the cabin. We'll be safe there. Here you go. Just sit right by this window. I'm going to go check the door. I heard a noise.
We open the door, and lo and behold...
And then...
It's Muffin!
It was Muffin! It's not Jason! It's Muffin! Muffin's alive! They got you. You thought Jason was coming back? Oh, yeah, he is. He's coming through the window right now.
But the important thing is not that Jason, is alive and has potentially killed Paul and Ginny. It's that
Muffin's back! Yay!
Jason doesn't support animal abuse.
That is
he
true.
didn't kill.
He left that dog intact.
He did leave that dog intact, and it must have been
I
a bear.
hope that Muffin becomes Jason's accomplice in the future movies. I know it won't, but I just like to imagine little Muffin in a tiny hockey mask roaming around the forest.
Right. But yeah, then we cut to the next day, and Ginny's okay. All right.
Somehow.
Cool.
Again.
Maybe Paul isn't.
But Paul might not be. Because
Paul's almost
Paul! Paul! She has to yell Paul a couple more times. And then my final note is Ted, final girl, question mark? We kind of already hit on that, but, Ted survived, so good for Ted. I thought he was obviously going to die because he's the new Ned. He's the new funny character that dies. That's what horror movies do. But they didn't kill him.
Sure.
He got to go to a late-night joint, and, he's still alive out there, that after-hours party.
Just partying up with that old couple,
He's at an old swingers club, and he's having fun. He is playing the harmonica. Woo! But yeah, that's the movie. Final thoughts. My final thoughts, it was okay. It was not as good as the first movie, and it wasn't... here's the thing. If the plot wasn't as good, you could tell, it's getting more derivative, that's fine. But if you're going to do that, you need to up the kills. Turn this into cool new way to kill people. And this is not that. This is just, all right, cool. It's happening again, but not as entertainingly. Cool. That was my thought. Here's the thing. It's not bad. If you like horror movies, which I'm someone who now I'm starting to feel like I like horror movies, it's fine. Watch it, especially if you want to watch the whole franchise. It's not going to be a bad experience, but it's also not going to be a good experience. Chris, your final thoughts?
Yeah, what did you think, Chris?
I thought this movie was alright overall. Yeah, definitely didn't wow me as much as the first movie did. I did like what they did with the score this time. It felt like the ahs were a lot more subdued, which is what took me a lot out of a lot of the suspense from the other movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Isaiah, that I have ruined the rest of this franchise for you.
The rest of it.
Yeah. It's cool. There's only 8 more movies.
But yeah, it really just felt like all of the best parts of this movie, which should have been the kills, were very, very lackluster overall. Yeah. That's alright. That's alright. What do you think, Isaiah?
The reason I like this one better than the first one is because I think Jenny's a much better main character. And she just does more to distinguish herself and get us to like her than Alice did. She's not just the main character by process of elimination of being in the moment as the last one that he hasn't killed yet. She fights to the final girl position. So I dug that about her. I just thought her acting was better too. The acting in both of these movies in general is
subpar.
We've just decided, I guess, as a society, to treat it kind of like aged meat or something. We know this isn't as good as it could be, but we're gonna pretend that that's a feature. and I'm all right with that. I'm cool with it. So we can look. It's the same thing as the last movie. So cancels out. What I think is different about this one again is the main character. But Austin, I think you do make a good point about the deaths because yeah, they're not quite as spectacular, and that is a big part of it. You're right. Like that's the whole appeal.
Is genre defining, one might say.
Yeah, the unmasking thing. My defense of that, I don't know if it was intentional, but that is a really really old. I guess trope is the only word for it. But like back to Greek tragedy old. They've had a whole word for it in Greek. I can't remember it. I had some professor that I think it's called anagnorisis, but like the unmasking of a character and seeing what he really looks like at the end of a tragedy, like the climax leads to that point. That's a really old theatrical technique that goes way back to like Sophocles.
This is why we have you,
So
Isaiah. You're very intellectual, and it makes us. You joke about yourself not being smart because you forget a scene, and then you come in with like Greek Greek tragedy like lore. It's like, oh, okay, that's like legit smart. Not remember the order of the movie. You know.
I had to. I mean, that's just required reading. I don't sit
that's
around
fair.
reading Sophocles.
But you did like teach yourself Latin. Like that's a thing I know about you. So. No denying, because you know it's true. You're a smart guy, and that's awesome. Like I'm saying it as like a plus. I'm glad you're here, because me and Chris, we can be kind of stupid sometimes. It's nice to have that third, different, completely different take, and I like it. I love it. I'm glad
Thanks.
that we are all doing this, and we will be back again next week with Friday the 13th, Part 3D. Whoa! So expect a lot of crappy 3D effects that probably won't be 3D for you, because I don't think they're 3D for us. Have fun with that!
That's gonna be pretty cool!
To be fair, that means they probably will be really innovative with deaths, trying to get that
I really
3D
hope
death.
so.
So I hope it should
a
be
lot
more
of
fun.
spears pointing right at the screen. and
Probably
stuff like, you know.
right at the camera. There's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of times
Blood
where we
dripping on the end
feel
of the spear.
like we're dying.
Oh.
So
Inside.
we have been the Horror Boys. Bye bye.
Goodbye.